On this video, we'll give you players to trade away as soon as possible, players that are overperforming expectation. I'm Alan Seslowsky. He's Nick Whalen.
I'm actually going to name a pair of teammates for the Washington Wizards, and that is Kyle Kuzma and Daniel Gafford. Thomas Bryant is set to return to practice within the next 2 weeks. We just got that news. And Rui Hachimura, who also has not played this season, looks to be on somewhat of a similar timeline. He's going to be back in the mix sometime within the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. There's an argument to be made that Gafford, Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell, who's been the best out of that trio, are all more effective options than Hachimura and Thomas Bryant. But the fact remains that Rui and especially Bryant will get minutes in this rotation. Deserving or not, these are rotation players for this team. They're part of this team's future, and they're going to be a part of that rotation when they're healthy. So, it's been a really nice, kind of surprising start for Kyle Kuzma. But he's tailed off a little bit. He's averaging just 11.6 points, 6.3 rebounds, 1.4 threes over his last 8 games. So he's someone that's already kind of started to come back down to earth a little bit. And Gafford, on the other hand, has been a little bit disappointing relative to some of the expectations that we had for him coming into the season. He was blocking shots at a crazy rate at the end of last season, and he's been a solid source of blocks, but it's been nothing special. He's really only playing 20 to 25 minutes on most nights. So what worries me most is, even if Thomas Bryant is coming off the bench once he's healthy, he's going to cut into that workload for Daniel Gafford. And if Gafford loses even 5 to 7 minutes per night, all of a sudden you're talking about maybe playing 16, 17 minutes, which, even for an advanced shot blocker like himself, probably not enough to really warrant starting in most leagues.
You have Jordan Poole on the Warriors. He's overperforming right now. You're looking to dump him?
Jordan Poole's not necessarily overperforming. It's just there's this obvious specter of Klay Thompson returning to the Golden State Warriors sometime in these next few weeks. It sounds like maybe a week or a week and a half before Christmas is kind of the soft target date right now. But Jordan Poole ranks 35th in total value in 8 category leagues entering Tuesday night. That's just insane value for a player who had a composite ADP of 25 coming into the season. I mean, it's been the best case scenario so far. And of course, it's difficult to part ways with a guy who's given you points, assists, rebounds, and a ton of 3-pointers. But again, it's such an obvious caveat with Klay Thompson coming back. Jordan Poole almost certainly moves to the bench. I think he can still be really effective in that role. I mean, he's been so good that it's not like he's just all of a sudden going to become a non-factor. I just think he can still be a top 100 guy the rest of the way. But 35th in total value, that's simply not going to be sustainable.
Instead of just proactively offering him by himself, maybe put together a package with Poole and one of our other must-sell candidates in order to get someone of greater value. I definitely like that play right there. How about Jerami Grant on the Pistons? Give us his story. Why are you trying to trade him?
Well, I think to me this is a sell high situation. He's very quietly a top 45 player in 8 cat leagues so far. He's playing really well of late. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 made threes per game over his last 8. So he's kind of on the best 2-week stretch of the season so far. But he's just been a really up and down player since arriving in Detroit last season. Remember he got off to that awesome start to the 2020-21 season and sort of tailed off as the season went on. But the biggest concern for me, Alan, is the pattern that we saw, resting Jerami Grant and other key veterans by the Pistons down the stretch last season. They were super aggressive, resting pretty much any player over age 23. Once again, this is a team that's not looking to compete for a playoff spot. They're looking to compete for draft position to add another piece alongside Cade Cunningham. So, you're still going to have 2 to 3, maybe even 4 more viable months of Jerami Grant. But when it matters most in fantasy basketball over those final 6 or 7 weeks of the season, I'm a little concerned that Jerami Grant's going to be missing games again. So I'd rather get out ahead of that and try to get great value while I can.
All right, since they watched to the end, let's give them one bonus must trade. Sell high candidate and Lou Dort. Our guys, Alex, Ken, and Shannon had Lou Dort as one of their hot pickups a couple weeks ago. He's been producing for you. You're looking to get rid of him now?
I think he's been playing a little too well. He's been playing suspiciously well over these last few weeks. So I certainly don't fault, Ken, Alex, Shannon, and the guys for recommending him. I picked him up in a league myself, and it's been great. But it's kind of the same argument that we just made for Jerami Grant, right? I mean, he's playing really well over the last month, but historically, that's not really who Lou Dort has been. He's averaging 20 points and 3 3-pointers per game over his last 14 games, but he's shooting almost 40% from 3 during that span. Last season, he was a 34% 3-point shooter. The season before that, he was a 30% three-point shooter. Even through the first 10 games of this season, he was a 23% three-point shooter. So nothing about his historical stat profile suggests that this is the guy Lu Dort actually is. And again, like Jerami Grant, you have some concerns about the Thunder being pretty aggressive in resting their veteran players down the stretch, again, when it matters most for fantasy basketball. So to me, this is a combination of trying to capitalize on this hot month for Lu Dort and to get out in front of potential rest days in the future. He's a top 50 guy over the last month, so his value is truly at an all-time high. I think now is the time to try to capitalize on that.
Great actionable advice right there from Nick Whalen. If you got value from this video, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And if you want to see Nick's article around the NBA where he recaps all of the biggest fantasy storylines, just click the link in the video description below. And if you want to try all of our premium content at RotoWire for free for 10 days, go to rotowire.com/try.